Well, what do you know? Hey, everybody, Craig DeLuz here. Welcome to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And despite the fact that we didn't have our opening music today, I'm sure that you still know that I do not do this program by myself.
No, my name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast, the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on the Rundown. 2A News, Conservative Views. Are we not doing the music anymore? Did we just get rid of that? Are we not doing?
No. We're still definitely doing the music. I just forgot to cue it before we went live.
Oh, you hit the button that says push. You didn't push. Gotcha. That's right. It's all right. It happens, Craig. It happens.
Exactly.
Mostly to you, but it happens.
But that's okay, though, because we know our audience understands.
That's true. It is, listen, it's a tough day. You know what day it is, Craig, right?
Oh, yes. It is definitely one of those tough days. It is Hump Day.
Hump Day.
What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Do we really need theme music when we have our Hump Day music?
I think we should use that as the opening music. Hump Day.
Every day. We'll just rename the show to Hump Day.
That's it. The Hump Day Show. Welcome to the Hump Day. Hump Day, third Hump Day of the week. Fourth Hump Day of the week. Fifth Hump Day of the week. We'll do that.
There you go.
Yeah, that'll work.
Maybe every once in a while we'll sub in the Humpty Dance.
The Humpty Dance, your dance
to do the hump. Do me, baby. Come on and do the Humpty Hump. I know some of y'all don't know it. Some of y'all are too young. Some of you are too old. Some of you, well, we'll just say that you are rhythmically challenged.
What was Humpty's backup band? I remember his sound. Remember?
Oh, Digital Underground.
Sound laid down by the underground. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yep. Humpty and the Digital Underground. Yep. Remember them well. Yep. That's right. That reverse bass.
Yep.
One of the first popular songs to have the reverse bass in it.
Yes, it was phenomenal. I know some of our audio listeners are like, "Oh my God, please stop rapping, stop singing. It's all bad. It's all bad." Well, that's okay because we're having a good time, and that, by the way, is what is most important.
Yes, that's most important. Yeah.
Although not nearly as important as our sponsors.
No, right? Got our sponsors because without the sponsors, it's just you and I hanging out with a couple of people going, what is this all about? What are we doing? So let's give it to our sponsors. Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Go to hitmanindustries.net. Odds are if you've bought a AR in the past 5 or 10 years, you probably got one of their barrels in there. Don't even know it. Check them out. You can get all your barrels for all your own personal needs, whether that be ARs or other type of firearms as well. Let's see. Then we got the California Republic Assembly. They are coming to you from behind enemy lines. And then, of course, our good friends, when you need that tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com.
The place to get all of your cool tactical gear. Folks, the links to all of their websites are in the description of this video or this podcast or basically this program. So, however you're partaking, just do us a favor. Make sure you follow that link. Check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them and tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. Also, make sure that you are encouraging your friends to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Help us to get the word out about The Rundown so that also the folks can enjoy the conversation. Because, hey, we all know, at least for me, this is the place to be this time every weekday.
Share the love.
Share the love. All right, let's get into the news today. The first story is one that I am quite sure you have probably heard about now by this time, and that is student loan debt. Student loan debt forgiveness is here. The President of the United States, I guess they're saying now via executive order, is now he's forgiving student loan debt. It's going to be up to $10,000 for students who earn less than $125,000 per year, and if you were a Pell Grant recipient, and I don't know why Pell Grant recipients are held out as special, but then you can get up to $20,000, if you, once again, if you earn less than $125,000 per year. Now, I'm still, quite frankly, wondering under what authority he has, Mike, to give away public dollars like this. I'm having a very hard time figuring that out.
Yeah, and then does he have some sort of weird path they're taking? Like maybe he's not giving away public funds. Maybe the money you're going to get paid back to the credit, or excuse me, the loan agencies from a different source. I really don't know what he's choosing here. I can't believe he's just going to write a $10,000 check for every one of these students and send it to their agencies. Well,
now keep in mind that, with the exception of money that's already outstanding, the student loan programs now are basically run by the federal government, and it's also now subsidized by the federal government, meaning that students don't pay their money back. The banks or the people who loan the money out now just go get their money from the government. So there is no private student debt, at least not a federal private student debt program anymore. So I guess they're just writing off money that's owed to them.
Is it not? Do they not have still the Fannie Mae's, Freddie Macs that are the primary?
Well, those are
those
are home loans. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are yeah.
I think they do student loans also. But
suffice it to say, what this is a transfer of people who decide from people who decided either not to go to college or
right.
to actually go to college and pay off their student debt or pay for it in cash. It's a transfer from those individuals to individuals who decided that they are not going, that they took out student loans and decided they weren't going to pay their student debt. So in many cases, you're going to have, like, I don't know, plumbers, garbage men, carpenters, bus drivers are now going to be paying for the student loan debt of people who went to get their degrees in Chicano studies, women's studies, some public school teachers. Those folks are now, or people who, quite frankly, are still in college, getting a master's degree. So those who decided to be responsible and pay off their debt or not get into debt are now paying for the debt of those who have chosen not to be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely. This is nothing but reassigning the debt to somebody else. That's all it is. I don't understand that how, if I got just a regular student loans, right, Craig, I got a $10,000 forgiveness, but if I was good enough to get free money before and get a grant, then you're going to give me an additional $10,000. So I paid less for my college, so you're going to give me more money to pay it back. That doesn't make sense either. And folks, if you can't look at this right now and see that they're buying votes at $10,000 a piece right before the primary, or right before the general election in 2-3 months, then you don't deserve to vote at all. This is clearly, they could have done this day one. It's executive order, right? They could have done this day one like you promised. Nope. Let's drag this out till the day after the primaries in most states, and then we'll talk about student loans.
One of the most loyal voting blocks for the president are recent college graduates. for Democrats, just so you know.
Yes.
Working class folks.
Yes.
Working class folks are tending more and more to vote Republican. And by the way, that's even going across party lines, across ethnic lines. And so we're not even talking about just white workers. We're talking about black and Latino workers are trending towards Republican.
Yep. Craig, the agency I was thinking of was Sallie Mae, not Freddie.
There you go, Sallie Mae.
Sallie Mae. But there are still private student loan vendors out there, including Sallie Mae. So
most of the big lenders got out of the business.
Yeah.
Because I remember when they were testifying before Maxine Waters, and she
Right.
was complaining about all of the stuff that they were doing, and she's like, they were like, yeah, we got out of the student loan business in 2010 or 2000. They were telling her, yeah, we don't. Everyone she had there, none of them did student loans anymore.
Well, I would say, listen, like the big banks that you and I would recognize,
Yeah.
they're not in the student loan business, but there's plenty out there like Sally Mae that's all they do, so they're on the private side. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you and I not having student loans wouldn't know their names. That's why I had to
Right.
have the
Well, I
interns
mean, I
look it
took
up while
out
we're
student
here.
loans, but when I graduated from college with less than 10,000 in student loans and had it paid off within a
Yeah.
few years. What's funny is my son
Yeah, same
graduated with a couple of grand in student loans. He had it paid off almost instantaneously. So, and he went to UC Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara is not a cheap place to live. So, for people who say
Right.
that if you go to college you're going to get into a massive amount of debt and there's no other way to do it, those people are lying to you. You can go to college and leave with little to no debt.
Yes, you can.
All right.
Yes, you can.
This next story has to do with a new ATF rule, and the Gun Owners of America is sounding the alarm regarding a gun registry. According to GOA, the ATF, as they are working to digitize records from the 4473, they are working to turn it into a firearm registry. So with that, now there's this new ATF rule that, number one, will require FFLs or firearms retailers to hold on to those 4473s. Those are the forms that you fill out when you go to purchase a gun. But eventually those 4473s will be turned over to the ATF and potentially turned into or put into a database. And so now they are warning that database is now going to be, eventually it is going to be a searchable database, thus violating the law or the legality or the unconstitutionality. It's been unconstitutional to actually have a firearms registry. And Mike had an interesting take on this, one that I don't disagree with, but it's one that anyway, I'll let him share it with you. It's an interesting take.
So first off, Craig, let's be clear that what is the change? The change right now is if you have a firearms license, if you have a gun store and a dealer's license, and you sell a firearm, you're required to keep the 4473. That's the paperwork for 20 years. After 20 years, you can dispose of it. Now, there's still some dispute, Craig, because when you have that application, that 4473. You get rid of that, but there's still your log. You have a log. It's called an acquisition and disposition log. That you still have to maintain. So you're getting rid of the 4473, but in a sense, you're keeping much of what's in that 4473 on your log. So it's kind of a what are we doing? How can we, this really doesn't work out anyway. So, but what the feds are now proposing with their new interpretation is that at the end of 20 years, you don't dispose of it. You turn it over to the ATF, just like you would if you were closing businesses or if you shut down your FFL or, whatever reason that the store under that name ceased to exist, you'd have to turn over your records to the ATF. Now, the reason you turn them over to the ATF is they keep them. So if there's a trace that comes up to find where that gun originated from, who it was sold to, that can happen. So what we know from what the ATF's reported recently or the past couple of weeks is that there's millions and millions and millions of these in boxes, these 4473s in boxes, and the ATF can't maintain them. They're getting wet, they're getting waterlogged, they're getting old. What they've started to do is, I don't know how to describe it. It's not digitalizing them. They're making digital copies of them, but they're storing them in a non-searchable format. It's according to the ATF. Okay, I've not been there, not seen this, but they're taking copies of them. And if somebody turned in just their acquisition and disposition log, it's enough where they can fill out a 4473, then capture that image digitally, and then put that in a folder. And they're saying it's not searchable digitally. So, listen, I haven't been there, Craig. I haven't seen any, for instances of this is the result of a gun registry search. I don't know that I take them at their word, but you're talking about an awful lot of records that have to get put in there. What I think the big fear is that they're going to take all of these records and immediately put them into a searchable database. Just like you'd go on the internet, pump something in, it would come out. What they're telling us that they have right now is, let's say, Craig, I put your firearm number in there, your serial number. It's found somewhere. Well, the result would come up that went to ABC gun distributors. And then I'd have to go pull the folders and start looking by hand through those records. So that's what they're telling us is going on. I don't know. So here's my dilemma, Craig, right? They're taking these records in, they're putting them into a semi-digital storage. They're saying it's not a gun registry. However, they now have everything they need if they decide to make a gun registry. Okay.
Right.
So whereas I'm not 100% sure they have a gun registry, they're facilitating getting all the information they need to create one if they so decide to.
Well, and that's why I was saying I agree with that take. I don't know enough to know if they're doing it or not. You take them at their word and the information they're providing. Could it be that that's what they're doing? Yeah, that totally could be what they're doing.
Could be,
but
we have no
like
proof.
You said, what they're also doing is putting together the information they need to be able to create that that registry if they so wanted to.
Yes. And listen, you understand our trust of tyrants. I love to have faith in the government, but look how often they fail us. Let's look at story number 1, where they just failed 49.5% of the nation by dumping the debt on us from others. So
right. Well, and let's be honest. Our founding fathers created the form of government that we have because there should be a healthy distrust of government. That's why we have checks and balances between the various different separation of powers and branches of government, as well as between federal, state, and local.
Yes.
So it helps to be skeptical, especially when you know that the person running the ATF is politically motivated and is less interested in enforcing or implementing or enforcing the law and more interested in banning firearms.
No, I agree. It's it's just one of those lists that actually you got to wrap your head around it. We know the FBI is lying to us when it comes to certain things going on right now. Why wouldn't the ATF? But then my brain goes, you're talking about a handful of people in the FBI that knew this, as opposed to a couple hundred that are working in this division in the ATF to do this. Wouldn't we have heard? Right. I don't know, Craig. But you know what? Skeptical, not sure, and I don't like the idea that they're getting all the information to create that database if they wanted to.
Right. In other words, they have everything they need. All they need is the permission to flip the on switch. Yeah. You're right. All right. Now, here's an interesting talk about getting permissions. Now, we all know that our current president is pushing the idea of getting away from fossil fuels or away from dirty energy. Right. Interesting thing though. So, according to the Daily Caller, the administration has just moved to fund Canadian mines, while at the same time blocking efforts to do mining here in the United States. This is very much along the same lines as what they did with the Keystone Pipeline. In other words, we had the Keystone Pipeline, which was going to provide transport oil from both Alaska and Canada to the United States and do it relatively inexpensively. And he killed that, but he approved a Russian pipeline that was going to provide oil. He okayed a Russian pipeline that was going to provide oil and natural gas to, or one of the two, oil or natural gas, I believe it's oil, to Germany. Mike, I'm trying to figure out if it's all about clean energy. These guys are just to the north of us. Do we not think that if they're spewing carbon into the air, that it's not going to just roll right down here to the United States?
No, Craig, you understand carbon air is hot air, so it's going to rise and go to the North Pole. It's not going to get to us. So
Oh,
Although it's going to kill Santa Claus, and he's American, and he lives up there, so that's probably not good. Yeah. So,
I'm just trying to figure out. This makes absolutely no sense to me. Why the administration would do this, except that, in a way, what he's saying is he's helping our socialist neighbors to the north, our fascist socialist neighbors to the north, as well as. Once again, he can stand up and say he's fighting against dirty energy here in the United States.
well, Craig, I mean, it's easy enough reasons. One, he's senile, right? We know that he's got dementia. Two, he really doesn't care. He's got to find a way to drop some gas rates before the election here. So here's how he does it. And by the time anybody figures this out, the election will be over, right? So he can carry on from there. Three, he really doesn't care about anybody else, all right, in the rest of the world. It's obviously about saving his constituents and Democrats. We could talk about climate control all we want. Go to Manila, all right. Go to places like Manila and Bangkok and see what the smog is like there. Nobody cares. Nobody cares because you know what? They're not white people. We don't care. They're not Americans. We don't care. So it just proves that it's all about, he's all about America and all about the vote. He's got to keep himself going. And sorry, again, the man's suffering from dementia. He may not even have any idea that any of this is going on.
Well, and that's what's crazy. It's like whether it comes from oil, whether it's oil or whether it's metal or whether it's things like lithium. It's like we're looking to all of these other countries in order to be able to get supplies of them, but we're not looking here in the United States where in some cases, we have ample supply of some of these resources. And
Right.
in the end, not doing that makes us weaker because in the end, we all share the same world, the same climate. So saying that it's like saying we're not gonna cut down trees here, but we're gonna be okay with you clear cutting down in South America. That's not
It's
how
ridiculous.
this works.
Yep, it's ridiculous. Craig, I'm looking up some stats while we're sitting here of the top 10 cities, most populated cities with the largest pollutants in the air, particulate in the air. 9 out of 10 of them are in India. So I guess we're writing them off. We don't care. We're gonna let the Indians go. We
What
don't
is
care.
the 10th in China?
Yeah. Cameroon, India, Pakistan. We don't get to China until we get down to number 19. Then they start owning it at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's based on what they tell us, probably.
Well, yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Anyway, let's just say hypocrisy. I think we can totally just chalk that one up to hypocrisy.
Oh, this is horrible. This is such shady politics. It's ridiculous, and that's exactly what they're doing. Oh, nobody will notice. We'll do it. We're doing safe, clean mines in Canada. See, you get the snow. The snow there keeps the carbon down, so it's okay there. Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Well,
All right.
because you're living in all that place with all the smog. Yeah.
Well, this next one you are going to love. I'm just telling you, this one is just going to make you, if you don't, well, for me, it literally made me jump out of my skin when I read this. In an effort to please the politically correct, we have now, or at least a Wisconsin school board has passed a curriculum that is, well, I'll just let you see it. It basically replaces the word girls with person with a vulva. Michael.
Yeah.
It's not inaccurate.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hold on, Craig. I'm on the phone with the sponsors and the FCC. They said I'm not allowed to comment on this one.
You're not allowed to come.
All right.
They already know.
Yeah, they already know. They already know.
Oh my! They already know. So it's basically it's in there. It is in their sex ed curriculum, and educators are referred to females as a person with a vulva. Now, vulva is
they're
not a
just
term
tempting.
that I use a lot,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to think of all the different places and times we use. I mean, like there's the song, persons with vulvas just want to have fun.
I think that's you're thinking of the Swedish car commercial for Volvos.
Volvo.
People
A
with
person with a
Volvos just
Volvo.
wanna have-
Okay.
Yeah,
So a person with a
people with
Volvo.
Volvos want to. Yeah, I think that's what you're thinking of. Yeah. Yeah, it's what we saw last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It was what they call them, a person of uterus. So
Yes.
what was wrong with person of uterus? Now we got to have kids talking about the word that I'm not supposed to say, so I won't say it. So I won't say it.
You
This is
wonder
fluffy.
why.
This
For
is-
those of you,
this
there
is-
is
yeah, this
right
is- this is
now
them
there
showing
is
up.
a rebellion against school boards all across this country. We have people
Yeah.
who have never, quite frankly, cared about their children's education before, are now all of a sudden running for school board. And let me be honest with you, some of them are not the sharpest knives in the drawer. They're not. But here's the thing that they know. They know that you don't call a girl a person with a vulva. They know that's called a person with a vulva is called a female.
They are. They're just. I think at this point they're literally trying to start a fight. They're just looking to incite a fight, and it's. We need to. Where is this place? Where's this school? We just need to shut them down. Just shut them down. I'm sorry. You've reached a certain ignorance level, and whereas it may be right and it may be correct, you need to go home forever and take a nice dirt nap.
I ran into a story that I was posting for one of my clients that had the term woman and it was spelled WOMXN. And so my first response was, I'm sorry, is this a spelling error? They're like, no, it is not. What is a woman? I said, well, I don't know how it's pronounced. It's probably pronounced woman just with an X in it. And I said, oh,
Right.
so the X is silent. I said,
That's
in
never the
these
case, by the way.
conversations, whether it's Latinx or Womanex, I wish the
Right.
X was silent. I wish the X's would be silent. Because
it's never the case.
anyway, it is they have jumped the shark. We have literally jumped the shark on conversations about this stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep us from getting fined. I agree with you, sir, on this Swedish car sounding kind of name. So
No, if you own a Swedish car, then that's what we own you. So you female now equals person who owns a Swedish car. Got it.
there you go.
On that note, we
There
will
you
move
go.
on to our parting shot, which is always fun. The first one is in the
Fun.
spirit of our first story today, and I think really sums it up. It is a meme that says, just to be clear, there is no plan to eliminate student debt. There is, however, a plan to transfer that debt to those who do not owe it.
Right? Exactly what we said. This doesn't get rid of student debt. It just gives it to somebody else.
Right. And that's who's going to, and by the way, that someone else is you and I, the taxpayer. And by far, the people who have the student debt are people who are making darn good money. Yes, $125,000 is pretty darn good money, and they went to college. They chose to take out debt. They chose to go into debt to go to college, and now all of a sudden they don't want to pay it back. But hey,
when
we
do we
got you.
get the discounts for having paid ours? When do we get rebate checks for those?
I don't know.
Do we get any of that for
I
having
don't
paid our
know.
student debt?
I'd
Do we
like
get
to
rebate
think we
checks?
would.
All right.
All right, this next one is really kind of a sign of what's going on with the January 6th committee, and really an example of what I like to call our entire January 6th news cycle. You've got cats with symbols on their back, and they're all sniffing each other's rear ends, and it's kind of a circular thingy going on here. You got the January 6th committee sniffing the butt of the Democratic Party. You got the Democratic Party sniffing the butt of CNN. And CNN sniffing the butt of the January 6th committee. I cannot think of a better visual representation of how this whole committee thing has gone. Mike's not
Yeah,
digging the D.
That's good stuff. That's whoa, easy. I didn't say the V word. Now you want to go with the D at me like that? What's up with that?
The D on the Democrat. D for Democrat.
Oh, sorry. All right. Okay. Jeez. All right. No. Listen, that was a weird D. It looked like they're taking the D train. It didn't look. It's not the normal Democratic Party D. I don't know what they're trying to hide from it now.
Trust me, if you go to their social media, that's what you'll see. You'll see that D.
I guess
Now, this final one is in honor of the 87.
Look at D. Yeah.
This final one is in honor of the 87,000 new IRS agents, because they're going to be coming and looking for you. Come looking for you. And there's one man who has found a way to make sure that no federal agency will ever audit you or investigate you. So if you're writing a check, right, to avoid IRS audits on personal checks, just when you fill out the memo line, put in 10% for the big guy.
10%. There you go, just like that. 10% for the big guy.
And
Very
if
nice.
you do not get that joke, then you have not been paying attention, and you get a big fat F.
That's it. 0% for you.
0% for you.
Yep.
Well, anyway, folks, hey, that's going to be it for today's program. But we're going to do one more quick shout out to those who pay our bills.
There we go. Let's say hello to all of our good friends at Hitman Industries. Go to hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. It got to all your barrel needs there. We've got the California Republican Assembly fighting the fight behind the enemy lines. And of course, if you need that tactical gear, go to uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Visit them, check them out, spend some money with them, and let them know that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. That's going to be it for today's episode of The Rundown. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program, and encouraging your friends to do the same. We'll be back tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday, having a good time, hanging out with y'all. So y'all have a good time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
That's it. Have a good time.